I'm telling you.
And she made it seem like
You can't take your eyes off of them 1 minute. I was talking.
6 o'clock, and I appreciate everyone being here. I'm calling the meeting to order. We have a quorum, all but one trustee present. And I would like to invite Principal Alvarez to the stand to introduce his goodnight student who will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Okay, good evening, Board President Halsey, Dr. Cardona, and members of the board. I'd like to begin the evening by introducing one of our amazing goodnight students. This is Cecilia Barrientos. She is joined here this evening with her mother, Angelina Correjudo. Cecilia is one of our 7th grade students, and she's done well to take advantage of every opportunity that we've provided for her at Goodnight. She is involved in advanced academics. In her electives, she is in dance. She sings in mariachi, and she is also a proud avid student. In addition, after the first quarter of the year, she has maintained all A's while having perfect attendance. So I think she is a true testament to the potential of SMCISD students, and it is my honor to give her the microphone to recite the pledge to the Texas and American flag this evening.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to the Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible. Thank you, Mr. Alvarez, for the opportunity and invitation to do this.
Thank you so much for that. Keep up the great work. And next up, we'll move into public forum. I have one speaker signed up, and that is Reverend Tim Bauerkemper to speak on 8A1.
Good evening, President Halsey, Dr. Cardona, and members of the board. I am here as a pastor in the community and also representing 5 pastors serving different congregations and ministry settings from different denominations in our community to express grave concerns about the SB 763 proposal for chaplains in our schools. Our concerns echo the concerns of over 100 professional, full-time, certified chaplains who oppose this role in a school system. As clergy, I wouldn't do the work I do if I didn't think churches were vitally important. But they are not vitally important in the school setting. It's an inappropriate place. The law doesn't define chaplain, it just says you can have one. It says they should be hired in place of a school counselor if you want to, and they would perform the duties of a school counselor, but they don't need the certification, the training, the experience, the expectations, the accountability, or any of those things. The role of a professional chaplain is well defined. Thousands of hours of training, almost all of them have a master's degree or higher in religious studies and in the work they do. I spent a summer doing 1/8 of the training that our chaplains require after seminary and ordination. That's 1/8 of the training that a chaplain requires. SB 763 has none of that. Chaplains work in settings where people can't get to their regular religious observances, places like a prison, military, hospitals. There are no barriers for our students to get to their religious observances. They live with their families or their guardians. They don't need an access that a chaplain would provide. Chaplains also have the training and experience and the accountability to treat all people equally. One of their main jobs is to help people find their own spirituality. That's not in the description here. Chaplains are barred in the military and in hospital settings from proselytizing. There is no such bar here. The schools don't need to be an arm of proselytizing and outreach. This is a weird, weird law. The more I read it, the weirder it got. We ask a lot of our school counselors. They take a lot of beatings. They take a lot of expectations. It takes a lot of education. I've got none of that. I've got a lot of education. I've got a lot of training, and none of it applies to the school setting. Please don't do that. Please don't mix these two. There's no good outcome I can imagine. There's no good outcome that hundreds of my colleagues who do the work of chaplaincy can imagine. There's no way we can be sure that all students would be respected by the person they are being sent to see. There's no way you can assure that with a chaplain. Please, we urge you, if students need a pastor or an advisor or a spiritual counselor, there are churches at the ready. Call me. Y'all all know how to find me. We can find them the help they need that's appropriate to them. The school setting is not the place to do that. Please, on behalf of the community, do it the right thing. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And moving on, we'll go into the superintendent's report.
Madam President, members of the board, good evening, and thank everybody for being here this evening. There's so much stuff going on, so if I forget anything, I apologize to those of you. So I'll start with the most important, is that's our students. We have our students are really involved in a lot of great things, our fine arts kids, whether it's choir, mariachi, orchestra, band. Band recently, we have dance. You know, our athletics is in full swing. Our career technology students are in full swing. And we have students going all over the place at elementary school visiting, you know, colleges and universities and exposing them. So our kids are really in a good place, and that's really done because of the work that our campus administrators are doing. I want to take a moment to recognize our campus administrators and all the work they do. I echo Pastor Bauer-Kempner's statement there. You know, our people are amazing. Our counselors, our administrators really do a good job in working and identifying what works best for each of our student populations. But I do want to take a moment of privilege to thank our principals for the work they do. It's a lonely chair to sit in the principal seat, and we have some great, great people that sit in those seats right now. And then the other group that I want to take a moment to recognize that our human resources department, if they could stand up there in pink right now. All our people are great, but this is Human Resource Appreciation Day. October 11th, I think, was the official day, but this is the first day. But these ladies work really hard to support, along with finance and all our other departments, work really hard to support our staff members in the building. They take their road show to the campuses to serve our staff as they need to. So there's the faces that we can thank personally. Thank y'all. If y'all want to leave, you can leave now.
And you're welcome to stay too, but thank you so much.
And I want to again echo the sentiments of Pastor Bauer-Kempner. He knows he comes to our pastoral meetings that I have a faith-based council that I've been meeting with for about a year, and we're starting that back up. And we have about 24 to 20 to 30 that show up, and I think they're all unanimous in what they would like to see happen. They're very service-oriented, but on this one issue, I think we can all hopefully agree. And that's it, Madam President, that's it.
Okay, great. Then let's have our academic update.
I'm going to try and share the microphone so that we can tag team. Good evening, Board President Halsey, Dr. Cardona, and board members. My name is Monica Valadez, and I am the Director of Elementary CNI and Bilingual and ESL Education, and I have a colleague here that will introduce himself.
I'm David Coronado. I'm the Coordinator of ESL Education and Innovative Learning.
So we are going to provide the update for our bilingual ESL review. You have in your packet just a description of all the different programs that are available here between a two-way dual language program and a one-way dual language program, a content-based and a pull-out in ESL. So just briefly, the difference between a one-way and a two-way and dual language. One-way has one population of student in the classroom. typically are emerging bilingual students, and II.A has two populations of students in our classroom, and that would be our bilingual child, our Spanish-speaking child, and then our native English speaker who has applied to the program. So the 2 and the 1 refer to the number of population of students that are in the classroom. And then the differences in terms of ESL content-based and pull-out. Content-based is really when their homeroom teacher is certified ESL and teaches all subject areas. They're self-contained. And then pull-out is referred to when only the English language arts teacher is ESL certified. They go to them for that content area. All other teachers may not be certified, and they teach the other subjects, math, science, etc. So one of the things that we do want to point out in terms of the content base, typically in a few years back, traditionally our elementary campuses were pretty much all self-contained. So if the child received language services in ESL, it was typically content-based. But today's practices see more and more our elementary campuses doing departmentalization, to where they have one teacher that teaches the English language arts and then other teachers that teach the math, the science, etc. And so that's the pull-out which we have typically seen more at secondary than at elementary. So just wanted to point out that difference. Just the landscape of elementary education is changing even within our language programs. I won't bore you by reading all those out loud.
And so right here you see our enrollment numbers. So when we submitted this, we had 1,297 emergent bilingual students, and this includes emergent bilingual students that are in our dual language program receiving bilingual services, students receiving ESL services, and then also emergent bilingual students that are parent denials. As of today, we have 1,320 emergent bilinguals so far.
So the additional students who were still kind of like, I hate using the term, but in the pipeline, right, waiting to be identified, have their LPAC meetings to code them appropriately, right? So since we sent this report out, we've had another 23 students that have been identified. So in terms of dual language numbers, so we have 546 that are emerging bilingual students. That's that one population of students that are currently in our pre-K through 5th grade classrooms. And then we have 225 that are English proficient students that have applied to the program within our pre-K and 5th grade classrooms total. So right now, if you look at the numbers and total of the numbers, we have about 70-ish% in our dual language classrooms that are emerging bilingual students, and about 30% that are what they call non-emerging bilingual students, which are English proficient, applied to the program. We're looking to get more of a 65-35 percentage ratio to support a two-way program with enough of both populations of students that they support one another in the bilingual pairs. And just to, one piece of information I forgot, we do have a couple of one-way classrooms in our district, and those are at pre-K Bonham. And that's, we have 5 classrooms, 2 of them are one-way only. And we needed that extra space because we have a lot more emerging bilinguals in our pre-K Bonham this year than we've had in last year.
So right here we have our newcomer and immigrant enrollment. So on the very top, it is of our secondary newcomer students. Currently right now, we have our middle school newcomer students at Goodnight Middle School and then our high school here. And so for our newcomer ESL courses and ESOL for the 2022-2023 school year, we had about 58 students at this time. And then this current school year right now, we're sitting at about 73 students who are newcomer students receiving those services. And so with that, at the middle school level, our ESL section is more English language development, where the students receive then their RLA instruction in their RLA course. While at the high school, they're taking ESOL, when those students are receiving an ELD, so English language development, in that ESOL class, but they're also receiving their English 1 and English 2 credit and preparing for their EOC. But then on top of that, they are double blocked, and they also receive a reading ESL course where it just builds more of their English language development. And then on the bottom is our immigrant enrollment, and you can see that last school year we were sitting at about 94 students, and then this school year we're sitting at 152 students that are classified as immigrant. But just to note that immigrant doesn't mean that they're emergent bilingual students. We have some students that are immigrant and not emergent bilinguals, and then also that with our immigrant enrollment that they also are not all newcomers as well.
It really is depending on the services that the student needs, right? So newcomers typically are seen in the secondary campuses because they have a shorter amount of time to become proficient in the English language, right? So at elementary, we have the program dual language that the students have access to really become biliterate. At secondary, the challenge is a little bit harder because our EBs are arriving as 7th graders, 8th, 9th graders, 10th graders, and so they have shorter amount of time to really capture the English and then make good on the EOCs to be able to graduate. So we have newcomer services that are dedicated to really advancing or trying to advance their English language development. So bilingual and ESL professional development, we had several opportunities for professionals to not only find out about the TELPAS redesign to get better prepared how to approach English language development within their classrooms. Mr. Coronado guides the ESL Academy for teachers who are interested in becoming ESL certified, but also teachers who are on ESL waivers and need to become ESL certified. We also had opportunities with Dr. Kennedy, who continues to provide us guidance around our dual language programming and really increase our understanding towards the meta languaging, right? Using language to actually think through content areas. We introduced Summit K-12. Summit K-12 is an opportunity is a program that's serving our newcomer students at the secondary level. It really is about aligning around the listening, speaking, reading, and writing language domains that they need to become proficient in within English. So several areas that we provided professional development for our educators.
And then for our state assessment, so on the left-hand side is our TELPAS information, which is our language proficiency exam that is taken by all of our emergent bilingual students. This also includes our emergent bilingual students that are parent denials. So with the redesign, 100% of writing was moved online. Prior to that, teachers would holistically rate their students and then create a score based on beginning to advanced high. That's now moved to all being 100% online. You'll also see that writing was not counted towards the student's composite rating, but a advanced high rating in writing was still necessary for a student to be eligible to reclassify and exit out of the program. At that time, so currently with that, the students also had to get advanced high across all 4 domains to reclassify. This upcoming school year, we have writing that will continue to be 100% online, but the great thing now is that a student doesn't need to get advanced high in all 4 domains. They can reclassify by getting a composite score of advanced high. Now our goal is to make sure that all of our students are English proficient and making sure that they are eligible for reclassification. On top of TELPAS, our students also have to pass their reading or English EOC or STAR test, or take an approved Iowa exam for 2nd and 11th and 12th grader students. On the right-hand side, we have our Algebra 1 and Biology EOC scores. So we have updated it with, we have an updated version with the percentages of students in total, but you can see here that our focus last school year was Algebra 1 and Biology. It wasn't where we wanted it to be, and so we really wanted to bring focus to those 2 EOCs. And in spring 2022, our our emergent bilingual passing percentage was sitting at 45%. Last school year, we moved it up to 65%. For biology, we were sitting at 39% passing rate, and now we had 66% last spring. So we really definitely saw a great growth in all of our emergent bilingual students, and it really was due to the work of our teachers. We really began to focus on the academic vocabulary and allowing our students to have access to the academic vocabulary. The big difference between Algebra 1 EOC, our Biology EOC, and our US History EOC compared to the English EOC is that these EOCs are heavily influenced with academic vocabulary that can be taught to build background knowledge so that those students are almost memorizing the information prior to taking the exam come in the spring. With English, that test is very nuanced. There's so much more than just memorizing academic language. There's expression, is, you know, how do we read poetry compared to nonfiction, compared to fiction, figurative language, idioms, things that a lot of our emergent bilingual students aren't exposed to in their native countries or in their native language as well. And with this, one of our biggest, I think one of the best things that happened last school year was with Algebra 1, the EOC. So all of our newcomers are at Goodnight Middle School. We had about 10 newcomers who took the Algebra 1 EOC, and 9 out of 10 of them passed the very first attempt. So we were very proud of the work that's happening for all of our newcomer students, but especially for all of our emergent bilingual students.
Do you happen to have the numbers?
No, I don't have those, but we have an updated slide.
Yeah, we updated the slide, but that presentation isn't this one. This is the stagnant PDF. So we'll get you the percentage of students, not only the EB, but also the overall all students. And we have that information. It's on the updated slide, so we'll send that along to you all. In terms of waiver certifications and recruitment, so last year we had 0 bilingual exceptions. A bilingual exception is very different than an ESL waiver. So the bilingual exception means that the teacher who is teaching SLAR, Spanish Language Arts and Reading, is appropriately certified in terms of a teacher certification, but they are not certified bilingual supplemental to teach the reading language arts. As opposed to the ESL waiver, the teacher has a student and they're teaching ELAR to them, they're teaching English language arts, and they don't have the ESL certification. So last year we didn't have any exceptions. All of our bilingual staff that was serving within our dual language program was appropriately certified, including the bilingual supplemental that they are required. We did have 13 ESL waivers last year, 3 from our elementary campuses and 10 from our secondary. Of those, 6 earned an ESL certification. One is no longer with the district, and we're following up with the others who have yet to earn their certification this year. In terms of certification support, as we had mentioned earlier, Mr. Coronado does lead the self-paced ESL Academy, and he is incorporating face-to-face meetings this year. Self-paced works for some educators. It doesn't necessarily work for all educators, so we're increasing our visibility in attending to our campus needs and our teacher needs. If they need an in-person, then we can facilitate in-person ESL Academy to help support through that. And of course, we have our ESL coordinator and district CIS collaboration to help support those efforts. Recruitment, we continue working with our HR department and getting us out into as many universities that have bilingual programs. Oftentimes the issue is they're not wanting to leave their home districts, especially around the border towns. They want to remain in their border districts. Even our university students who oftentimes come from the Valley, they are seeking to return back to the Valley. So I don't know if we can work out some sort of exchange. We're trying to think outside the box to retain them here maybe at least 3 years and help support our efforts in those areas as well. Just at the very bottom, for 23-24, we are going to be expecting to request 3 bilingual exceptions. We had 5, but 2 of the teachers have already completed and are just adding the information to their certification. And then 23 ESL waivers. These aren't the same folks that we had last year, so oftentimes the conversation is, why do we have so many more? We have new teachers, right? They're teaching. Maybe last year they didn't have an EB in their classroom that was ESL language, and this year they do. And so we're trying to get to as many as we can, starting with our core subject areas and especially our English and ELAR teachers to become ESL certified. So family and parent engagement. So we continue working with Dr. Celaya Consulting. Dr. Celaya is a former newcomer himself. At the age of 13, he came to the United States from Honduras looking for his mom, was held in the detention center for a while, has a lot of experience in terms of that trauma, and so has provided us some guidance in terms of how we can best support our newcomer students and families. So we continue to coordinate and collaborate with him. Our hope is to take our newcomer families and attend field trips to Texas A&M and to Texas State University. But as a family unit, one of the things that we do know is that there are cultural differences in how families think about higher education. Where one family might not need to be involved necessarily in that conversation between the counselor and the 18-year-old, where the counselor is asking them, hey, you really want to explore this, go out and seek higher education, it'll be good for you. For another family who is more of the traditional community-oriented, they really do need to ask their parents. It sounds strange for an 18-year-old maybe to say, I need to ask my mom, right, because they're getting ready to become more independent, et cetera. But that's the reality, right? At 18, I was having to ask my mom if I could go to a university. It's not always a yes, so we need to broach that cultural divide. And so he helps us by providing that insight into newcomer, right, because that's a completely different. And so he talks to families about understanding sacrifice as down payment for their college tuition, right? So the families often think, but I don't have the money available. And so he talks about how sacrifice is their down payment, because there's so many other ways of paying the actual tuition, but that students understand the down payment's already been paid by all their sacrifice that families have made, really begins to shift our understanding about higher education. Global Lingo Education is our coordination collaboration with Dr. Kennedy for dual language support. We are wanting to continue build our dual language program, make it even more effective than it has been in past years, and that really talks about our pedagogy in our classroom to get to that meta languaging, right? It's not about our students should not be seen as two monolingual students. They should be seen as one bilingual student. So their brains aren't separating this side of me as Spanish and this side of me in English. They are really bilingual children. And so both for our Spanish speaker and our English proficient speaker, we are trying to raise bilingual children. And that really challenges the way we think about assessment, the way we think about materials, et cetera. Community connection, Centro has continued to play a significant role in bilingual department, getting community together, our families together to explore different connections in community that they have access to. And then, of course, Balena Patla, strengthening the third pillar of dual language education, the social cultural competence that sometimes we forget about. We think it's about just learning Spanish, and it's not about just learning Spanish. It's about really bridging the gap cultural divide, and so we really need to focus on that. And again, this isn't an updated presentation, but the updated slide, and we'll send that along to you as well, includes our students' visit to Rice University this summer. So 6 of our emerging bilingual students spend a week at Rice University attending the Tapia camp, and that's every summer they go for a week. We had 2 of our students that were finalists in the competition at Rice University, and we had one that was a second place winner, Jesus Maduro, who is currently a 10th grader, received a second place award at that competition.
And then on this final slide is our next steps. So our biggest priority this year is the English 1 and English 2 EOC. We want to continue to support the English courses here at the high school to make sure that they are meeting both the linguistic needs of our emerging bilingual students, but then also making sure that we get that achievement and ensuring that they pass those EOCs. And then the ESL Academy, we're going to continue with that. Since we now have 23 teachers that are on an ESL waiver, our goal is to make sure that they are certified prior to the end of the school year. And then in addition, because of our bilingual exceptions, myself and Saskia Medrano, who is our dual language instructional coach, will be working on a bilingual academy, an in-house one, to now make sure that our bilingual teachers are appropriately certified and serving our students appropriately. We're also moving to language objectives and ELPs. We want to bring these focuses back for all of our campuses. So it's going to be a 2-year kind of slow drip method. We're going to work with our campus instructional coaches this school year to begin reinforcing the ELPs. What do they look like in not just only our core content, but in every single content area? How do we provide access to language for all of our students and making sure that students are reading, writing, speaking, and listening in all of their classes? And then as well as into next school year, we'll then transform and put that into all of our classes and really holding our teachers to applying the ELPs and making sure that students are becoming English proficient, but then also they are going to, and our ELPs are our English language proficiency standards. So there's TEKS, and then you have your ELPs, which are to make sure that students read, write, speak, and listen. And then our newcomer and immigrant focus will continue that this school year. We will continue with the consolidation of our middle school newcomer students at Goodnight Middle School, but then we also want to strengthen our collaboration between the elementaries and our secondary newcomer and immigrant students and families. We find ourselves sometimes, our elementary newcomer and immigrant students are into our dual language program, and they're around a lot of students that are very similar to their backgrounds, but when not all of our dual language students are newcomers, and that is a very different approach and a very different way of coming into our schooling system. And so we want to make sure that we're bringing that focus into our dual language classes as well, but also building a great relationship with our families and continuing our events.
And that is our presentation. We apologize. It seems like we talked forever, but.
Great, that was terrific. Thank you so much. It was super thorough. Sorry. Any questions?
No,
Trustee
but
Keenan.
actually, I just want to say congratulations and great work on improving those EOC scores. That's really commendable. And I look forward to seeing the same improvement in the EOCs, the English EOCs. Sorry.
Trustee Keene?
I was just going to thank you for this program. I have one child in it who is totally different from my other children because of it. And as a substitute last year, I subbed in the 5th grade monolingual class and the dual language class, and the maturity level difference between the two is very, very obvious. I mean, it's affecting much more. Like you said, it's not just now these kids know Spanish and these kids know English. It's a whole different way of being by the time they're done with that elementary program. I did have one question in terms of staffing. Do we have all the staffing that we need? They're just not all done with the certification, or do we need more teachers for dual language and ESL?
So I know that we were looking for an additional teacher for dual language at VI.A. Ms. Thomas is making it work. She made it work last year as well. And so definitely there's always a need, but right now we are, for the most part, covered. Our dual language classrooms are covered. We were waiting for one that we were working with HR, and that's come through. So I want to, highlight the efforts of our HR department to make sure that we had that one 5th grade teacher that was still kind of missing in action through no fault of her own, but we just needed to coordinate some things. And so she's now in the classroom and instructing 5th graders in SLAR. So the bilingual exceptions, we knew eventually we were going to hit that wall where we wouldn't have sufficient teachers that are bilingual certified. We are working with bilingual education staff over at Texas State University. For them to increase the amount of students that they're attracting that are interested in bilingual education, because there's not many. And so how are they attracting populations of students to come and do their educator preparation programs at Texas State University, and that all also select bilingual education as their career. So we're working on that end, but we also know we need to attract from other populations because Central Texas doesn't have a huge population of pre-service teachers that are bilingual to become bilingual certified.
Thank you.
I want to echo some of the great work that the gainers, who are teacher resident supervisors, they have some groups that they work from in Peru, and so we are collaborating with different recruitment initiatives. We worked on a very different process this year from our HR standpoint by getting someone who needed an HB3 visa, and so we're just trying to really support the dual language and bilingual program at doing things outside of the box. And the gainers who've been working with Dr. Valadez are looking at a different collaborative with a teacher who is helping, and I believe you spoke to it, helping teach up some teachers who are interested in becoming dual language teachers but perhaps didn't get certified in undergrad. So we're trying to open up different career pathways to get them certified. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, this is terrific. I think, sorry, I've got terrible allergies tonight. The one thing I would like to do is follow up At the end of the year, when we started the dual language program, we talked a lot about how students who were coming in that first cohort, they were going to struggle for the first couple of years in terms of their mastery of course content, just as they were also integrating the language skills. And the idea was that then by the time they hit 4th grade, 5th grade, 6th grade, 7th grade, that they should be caught up, that maturity level should start, hit, and that they should start to actually surpass their traditional peers. And so with that first cohort of dual language students now being, I think, in 7th grade, I would like really for us to take a comprehensive look at the end of the year about how that's working out in terms of their overall test scores and track that. So just some advance warning that I would like to look at that in a few months. So, okay. But
Yeah,
otherwise, this is
we're
terrific.
definitely interested in that data as well.
So, great. Anything else?
Good report.
Thanks, y'all. Okay, now we have the approval of the consent agenda items. First, the approval of the minutes for the regular scheduled board meeting on September 18th, 2023, the special board meeting on September 26th, 2023, and the special board meeting on October 2nd, 2023. And item B is the approval of the 2023 San Marcos CISD educational specifications. Is there,
I'll make the motion to approve the minutes. Do you want to take all three together?
if nobody has any objections?
I think that's no objection.
Okay.
I'd second the motion to approve all three.
Okay, any questions? I think, well, is that just for item A or for item A and B? I think we can take them both.
Yeah, A and B.
Okay. Any questions? Seeing none, all in favor, please raise your hand. Opposed? That motion carries 7-0. And now item 8, items for action. Item A, Board of Trustees, discussion and possible action regarding the school chaplain, Senate Bill 763. Do we have a presentation?
We don't have a presentation because Stephanie's running over there real quickly.
If you could just give us an overview
Yes.
and speak to the issue at hand, that would be terrific.
So we did receive a policy update in September based on school chaplain. TASB Policy Service has given us guidance that right now the full packet is not available until the end of October, so I believe it's in the mail. For now, we did share all that we have from TASB services, and so I believe that was shared with the board. And then we can review policy if you'd like to make any changes tonight.
Madam President, are you looking for a conversation on this topic? Are you looking for a motion? What is it you want?
So my understanding is that we just need to consider the item, correct? That we don't need to actually vote on it, we need to consider it, right? So I think we're fulfilling that by having the agenda item. Other than that, I'm open to whatever y'all would like to do. If people would like to have a conversation about it, if there's a motion that anybody's interested in making, I'm happy to entertain that. I think this is brand new for all of us, so I certainly have some feelings about it. I welcome anybody else who would like to speak on it or make a motion. So I don't know, anybody want to start?
Sure. I'd like to start. I'd like to move that we not allow unlicensed counselors, people who are not licensed as school counselors, to serve as counselors in our school district as volunteers or paid staff. That we maintain the regulations that we have for school counselors to have the appropriate certification as a counselor.
Second.
And second by
Wait a minute,
Trustee King.
are we voting on the chaplain idea?
Well, we don't have to vote on it. The law says that we need to consider the implementation of chaplains in our school district. And so I think that we can do that. It leaves us a lot of liberty to determine how that works best for the district. So my understanding of your motion is that we would maintain our current certifications. So in that sense, I would assume that if somebody is certified as a chaplain and also certified as a counselor, then they would be eligible for that job, but they must have that counseling certification in order to qualify.
Absolutely.
I'll second her motion. I think that our district.
Ms.
has-
Kane,
Oh,
Ms. Kane
you
is
already
seconded,
did.
but
Okay.
you asked if you'd like to talk.
I'd like to say we have spent a lot of money and time getting counselors for our school district, social emotional counselors, and I feel we've got excellent counselors and we've got a good supervisor going, that we do not need to expand our counseling program to have chaplains. And furthermore, I believe in separation of church and state. If no one else will say it, I'll say it.
Well, and I will echo Pastor Tim's statements and the statements of my colleagues. We do not have the training to counsel, especially elementary school children. I took several classes on pastoral care, and every class period, they said, you are not a counselor. You will not be a counselor unless you come back for a second master's degree to do that. And so I also am concerned about both qualifications and the separation of church and state.
So I would say that I like this motion because I think it maintains the standards that we have put in place, which I think is really important because we have worked really hard at that. We have a terrific counseling program. We've expanded our social emotional well-being from, we heard a presentation last month where we now have a clinical psychologist in the preschool, as well as at the high school and one of our elementary schools. We have social emotional counselors available. At every campus, we have wraparound services, which I think we're doing a great job, and really we need to keep that focus there. I also think, however, that I am personally grateful for the work that our faith-based community does in our schools, including our faith-based leaders. I know we have really strong partnerships in many campuses with faith-based leaders who volunteer in a number of capacities, whether that's tutoring, whether it's working on PTOs, whether it's working on booster clubs. And I think that we do a really great job of that. And I'm super happy to have all of those assets and energy poured into our community. And I think whenever we need it, the faith-based community reacts and responds and is there to support our school and our children in whatever capacity is appropriate. And so I feel like this is sort of maybe something that would be helpful for other communities, but right now isn't the right step for our community. So.
Or they could volunteer as big brother, big sister.
Yes.
Since we're starting that program in our community, I think that that'd be an excellent place for them to have a role in the schools.
That's an urgent need that we need, absolutely. So.
And it's important to recognize that our chaplains have expressed that this is not their place. And I think that, it would be great to respect that as well.
Any other comments? All right, then I think we would take a vote on Dr. Salmi's item. All in favor, raise your hand. All opposed? That motion carries 7-0. And we'll now move into items 8B, considering the approval of My Life, My Rights for high school students with developmental disabilities.
Thank you, school board members. I'm Jennifer Vogel. This is Amy Lovelace and Leah McMurphy. Murphy. We're here to just, present to you our My Right to My Life curriculum. It is a human sexual responsibility curriculum for students with developmental disabilities in our secondary school, from high school on up through Crossroads. They'll speak a little bit about the curriculum, and I'm going to talk just a reminder how this process has to work in the district. Similar to what we've done with our previous curriculums, we have big decisions at the high school, and we have draw the line, respect the line in the middle school. So you go out and you look at all the different available curriculums as a committee, and then you decide which curriculum might work best for your community, and then you start public forums with parents. We really stuck to parents that had students that would be engaged in this curriculum. We also sent out to pastoral alliance groups. We sent out to 5 different pastors who have been involved in our curriculum processes before, and we got back responses from 3 that were positive about the curriculum. And then we also had our medical director, Dr. Julia Fisher, who has also reviewed the curriculum and been very involved in the process of looking for this curriculum over time. And she currently sits on our school health advisory committee. And then our SHAC has reviewed it in March. We reviewed it informally in 2 formats, where we were doing training in August, and then in July when we did training for new SHAC members. And we also voted on it to move forward in the September SHAC meeting so that we could present. And so I'd like to let the ladies discuss a little bit about its implementation.
Okay, so we're just going to go over committees. Of course, the big thing is the why. The need for this curriculum for our students with some of our most challenging disabilities. So we'll do that, and then we'll go through questions and comments. So our committee was made up of Jennifer Vogel, Lisa Frank, our special education director, myself, Kendra Harris, Amy Lovelace, and our wonderful ACL teachers, Crystal Harrelson, and our Crossroad teacher, Michelle Winkler.
Okay, so our why, or the purpose for this, is that we're going to be teaching this curriculum to our most vulnerable population, and it's going to give them a really great foundation to stay safe, build safe and healthy relationships, as well as advocating for themselves. The curriculum was actually recommended to us from Region 13, and over the summer, me and the two teachers actually went through the curriculum chapter by chapter, and we kind of pulled some out because there's some sensitive material in there that we would offer to parents to share with their kids at home if they choose to do so. So we took the time to kind of go through and make sure it was appropriate to teach in the school. So just a quick overview of what the curriculum covers. So there's 4 basic units. The first unit is Introduction to Healthy Relationship, and that really focuses on self-advocacy, safety with non-dating relationships, and cyber safety. As a former ACL teacher, our students deal with this all the time. So this is really going to be a great tool for the teachers to have these pre-made units to go over with the kids and kind of explain it to them in a fashion where they'll understand. It's at their level. So Unit 2 is talking about getting to know someone and dating, and it focuses on the mechanics of healthier dating relationships. And then Unit 3 is the safer sexuality. Most of this is what we cut out. This can be offered at home. But the one chapter that we will focus on is going to be on consent. So giving consent to just say no. And then Unit 4 is going to be leadership for healthy relationships. So it's giving the students an opportunity to practice advocating within their communities for healthier and safer relationships. Any questions or comments?
I appreciate your efforts in going through the curriculum and really taking a deep dive in understanding what the curriculum was, and I think it's a great opportunity to provide resources to parents to handle at home those things that you feel more appropriate for parents. So thank you for that.
Mr. Shanks?
And I appreciated sending the chart with our board book so we could see exactly what y'all were pulling out. That was great. Thank you. Good prep.
Good job.
Nothing else? Thank you so much.
All right, thank
Thank
you.
y'all.
And so I would entertain a motion to approve, for the approval of My Life, My Rights for high school students. Yes, sorry. Go ahead.
I'll move to approve the curriculum as presented by the committee.
And I'll second.
Okay. Motion made and seconded. All in favor? All opposed? 7-0. Thank you so much. Operations.
Good evening, board. On page 91 of your board book, you'll see the action item that would delegate authority to approve certain change orders as it relates to the Bond 23 construction projects. A little bit of background on this. This resolution would designate authority to Dr. Cardona to approve any change order at or below, if you look through anything that's $1 million, it has to be at or below the 25% threshold. Also, there's another dollar figure that if the change value itself is over $50,000, we would have to bring that to the board for approval. Our administration recommendation is approve and adopt the resolution as presented on page 112.
I move that we adopt the resolution as presented.
I'll second.
Questions? Okay, seeing none. All in favor? Opposed? Thank you very much, Mr. Doyle. 7-0. And the second part of that is Mr. Sandoval.
Yeah, so this is the next action item. If y'all recall at the special board meeting, we talked a little bit about new central office and the opportunity to finish out the area that we're talking about finishing out in the future. There was a question at that time about the cost if we waited and the impact, and I emailed y'all. I hope you got the response, about 30 to, and that's a very conservative number, but about $30,000 a year that we're looking at. So this action item is just to approve the architect to take the next step to do the design. It's not to actually complete it. So they'll do the design, it'll come back to the school board with the options, and then y'all make a decision at that time if y'all want to move forward with it.
Just to be clear, on the page describing the cost projections, are you saying that right now we would be approving the total 938,000?
No.
We would be approving the 66,000?
Yes, and so their fee, the architect fee, is based off of the construction cost. So if that construction cost is less, or whatever we decide on, if you decide on nothing, then we'll negotiate an amount with them. But if we decide that we want to build out that space but not expand the boardroom, which I explained in the emails, the pretty expensive proposition because we're dealing with structural, then it'll just be based off of what y'all decide to do,
And
the fee.
To be clear, the 2023 bond proposition, there would not be anything included in that bond that would not be completed based on this expense. That is going to be expenses that were lower than we had anticipated when we went to the voters for the bond. So this would not take anything away
No.
from what was already presented.
No.
Okay. President Halsey? Yes. I'd like to move that we approve the amendment, the operations consideration and possible action on Amendment 2 of the standard form agreement between the owner architecture as presented in the board book.
I'll second that.
A second from Ms. Lopez. Any questions, comments? Okay. All in favor of the motion, please raise your hand. And all opposed? With that, 7-0. And at this time, we're going to move into closed session as authorized by Section 551.074 of the Texas Government Code. 6:52. 7:47, we're going to reconvene and take action on item regarding the Chief of Human Resources Officer that we discussed in closed session. May I get a motion,
President
please?
Halsey, I move that the board approve the recommendation of Ms. Stephanie Munoz as the Chief Human Resources Officer.
I'll second that motion.
Motion made by Dr. Salmi and seconded by Ms. Cantu. I'm going to get better at getting us a little ahead, guys, I promise, sorry. Any questions? All in favor, please raise your hand. Congratulations, Ms. Munoz. Thank you so much.
Good evening, Board of Trustees and Superintendent Cardona. It's with much excitement as I stand here as your new Chief of Human Resource Officer. As a proud product of San Marcos CISD, from bottom all the way to San Marcos High School, a former avid student, I was equipped to be a first-generation college grad at Texas State and continue on to get my master's degree. And in a few years, I'll be Dr. Munoz. This is a celebration for our district, community, and the university. I want to thank my family for being supportive and always cheering me on, the HR team, and our superintendent for the guidance, trust, and mentorship. I look forward to leading in this new role. Thank you.
Thank you. We're very excited to have you take on this position. Thank you very much.
Congratulations, Stephanie. As another homegrown girl, congratulations. We're so proud of you. You've been absolutely fantastic from the moment I've stepped on the board and worked with you, so we're very excited for you.
With that, I'll take a motion to adjourn.
I'll make the motion.
I beat you, Brian. I make a motion.
Sorry, I looked.
I say who?
I want to recount.
Ms. Lopez. Ms. Lopez made a motion to adjourn. We'll give Ms. Kane the second. Sorry, Clem. I'll give it to you next time. And all in favor, please raise your hand. Thanks, everybody.